Hello, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Welcome to New Release Rundown. We're joined by Elle from Mox Boarding House this week.
Hi.
You want to tell us about yourself and about Mox?
Yeah, so I worked at Mox for a year now. Really enjoyed it. It's an awesome place to be. We are a premium game store in the area where you can come in. We have hundreds of games to borrow. You can try them out for free, play them. We have a restaurant you can eat at while you play at open table space. We've got locations in Ballard and in Bellevue, and one coming up in Portland, Oregon next year.
And do you know when that's supposed to open?
So it's looking more like March now, but
Okay.
it's still a little bit flexible. There's some construction around that, and I think most people know
So
that's
soon.
a little unreliable. Yeah, so it's coming very, very soon. It'll be here quickly.
So, I was about to ask you what game we want to start with, but I believe that there was a survey.
Yes.
And the winner is cleverly hidden from me.
So you don't even know it's there.
Wow, speaking of deluxe games.
Yes, so
End of the Trail.
End of the Trail, and this is the deluxe edition. So just the standard edition was released at the end of last year. This is the deluxe edition, and for anyone who's not familiar with it, End of the Trail is one where you are like prospecting in California.
Yep.
So you're prospecting for gold and competing over essentially finding the most gold and getting the most points through that.
So it's a board game where you want to get the most points.
Yes, surprising. Like that's never happened before, right? So what's really cool about this one is you get to play poker in the game, which is kind of one of many mechanics, but I really find that intriguing. We saw that in Western Legends, and I was like not sold on it, and then I played the game and I was like, wait, I can play poker in game? Then now I have to play that. So End of Trail allows you to kind of balance a bunch of different mechanics as you play. You are going to be getting a number of cards, and they're going to have multiple different things on them. So they have a value in money. They have a standard card number, like a Jack of Hearts or an Ace of Spades.
I kind of wish I could see the box.
I know, doesn't it? They don't really have it visible very much.
I mean, like special editions are supposed to look pretty, but
yeah.
So is it primarily a card game, or is there a board as well?
So there's a number of tiles laid out that represent the locations you can prospect. So there's tiles that represent the plains or the mountains or the canyons, and like mountains are more likely to have valuable things, whereas plains you might get a little bit of gold but not much. And it's balanced very well. So like plains might have a higher likelihood of 1, 2, or 3 values, whereas mountains might have like a 4, 5, or 6 value, canyons 3, 4, 5. You have a card that tells you what the variations are, and so it's a push your luck style game where you're going from place to place on this map to uncover tiles. Now what's cool about it is you have to choose how to use your cards, because you're going to be saving cards for your poker hand at the end of the game, and you're going to have a special holding pile for those. In order to get the cards there, you have to use them in a specific way. And each card you're going to lay down and have a certain number of actions. Those actions are used to determine where you're going to visit on the map. And when you visit a place, you and only you get to see what the value is. These are hidden values.
Of the card you play, or the card that you find at the location?
Of the location, yeah. So everyone will see the cards you play. So it's 3 rounds. You want to be a little more secretive early on about what your hand you're aiming for is. But only you will know what is on that location that you visit, unless someone else visits it. And then you have to choose whether or not to claim the location. Now, if you choose not to claim it, you get to continue searching. But if you find something less valuable, you're stuck with it. So if you want to look at multiple locations, you want to kind of aim for the lower first. Because if you start with something valuable and you leave it behind, you're going to get stuck with something else. So there's a little bit of a push your luck element to this game as well.
Interesting. Like the element of having to plan and build your poker hand for the end of the game is intriguing. So, but are you generating points through the entire process?
Yes.
Could you lose the poker hand at the end and still win?
You could. So you're going to gain points by the locations that you claim on the map. And this game's pretty quick. There's only 3 rounds. It's not going to be it's under an hour easily. And you're going to gain gold for those. The poker hand at the end, whoever has the best poker hand, will get to claim an additional land. Which say they get a 5, and some of these, they're like 1 to 6. That could be a game changer for them. That could cause them to win the game. But if someone else has consistently gotten valuable lands and they've gotten nothing but cheap ones, then it's not going to be enough to bring them back into the lead.
Okay. So it's kind of like just a last ditch to kind of sprint maybe for a small
get a
gap
last little bit, yeah.
Okay.
And it also adds an interesting mechanic to this because you're trying to balance when you claim land, only cards, you're going to, at the beginning of a round, lay out a number of cards to use for actions.
Sure.
Only the ones you actually get to use count as cards for your poker hand.
Okay.
Which means you might pass on valuable land so that you can keep playing your cards.
Okay.
Because if you lay them out and you don't play them, they just go away.
So each round, once you claim a land, you're basically done for that round, it sounds like?
Yes, yeah. So it goes around, everyone gets one action at a time using one of their cards they have available. But once you claim a land, any cards that are left are just null.
Okay.
They're out of the game. And everyone else will continue going until they've used up their actions.
So it's kind of a balance of claiming the land for points versus having more time to take more actions and generate more cards for the poker hand at the end.
Exactly.
Got it.
And it also kind of causes you to really think more strategically and in depth about the order you play your cards. Like I said, if you find something valuable right at the beginning, you may just end your turn and then you lose some of these other benefits. So it can be beneficial to take your time and start with the lower ones and look into those first before you go to the big ones. But that also gives other people an opportunity to steal those ones before you get to them.
Okay.
So
great.
Really interesting strategic consequences there.
And so the original game came out last year, you said?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
So 2018.
Other than the cover, do you know what's different about the deluxe? Like, does it have much improved components or anything like that?
It has some additional like some improved components, but I actually haven't had a chance to look at the deluxe components specifically.
Well, I'm just curious. Actually, somebody in chat was asking what the price point was, if it was between $20 and $30, and the answer is yes, it is $25.
Yeah, which is a really valuable, and like I said, that's a really good price for this game. I actually hadn't looked at the price point yet, but after looking at the depth of this game, that price point for me feels really good.
Well, also, what I'm curious about is if it's the deluxe version, should you buy this for somebody who already bought the game and really loved it? Is it improved? Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
are the components improved enough to replace a copy you've already bought?
And like I said, I haven't seen the components in this one specifically, but my general feeling on that is no. I'm not someone who would buy that unless you know someone. It's going to be about 20. So this is just a little bit more. My general thing is not replacing it for a deluxe unless you know someone who would enjoy it that you can offload your old copy to. Then it's worth it. Then you get this is a great game. You'd love it.
It
is. Yeah, just put a new shrink on it. No one will know.
It seems like it made. Like the box inside seems normal. The components seem very heavy for a $25 game.
Yeah.
But I'm not clear, like, if it's just the slipcase. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's just the slipcase. I do believe there actually are component upgrades, but I would have to look further into that online.
All right. Well, if you already have it, maybe do some research before you go out.
Yeah.
Unless you just totally love it and have a friend who needs it.
Yeah. It is pretty heavy. Like you said, it's heavy for a 25 price point.
All right. What game are we doing next? What else was in the survey, or which game do you want to cover next?
Let's talk about bees.
Bees. Let's talk about bees.
Bees, the Secret Kingdom. So bees, the secret. It's really funny because I don't see games about bees very much, and I actually have two with me today because apparently bees just this week is the week for bees.
There was also a week where I think there were two of them on Kickstarter too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, but. And I have an affinity for bees because I'm originally from Utah, and that's like the state insect. I don't know. Bees are popular there. They're on everything. Signet, I don't know. It's weird. But so Bees: The Secret Kingdom is a really cool game that combines it reminds me a lot of lanterns and what's the one with the gems? Sagrada? No, not Sagrada.
Splendor.
Splendor. There we go. Thank you. So it reminds me a lot of lanterns and Splendor in the mechanics of this game because you're going to get something every turn.
But it's the Secret Kingdom. So clearly it's about the deep political intrigues inside the bee colony.
That would be great. I don't know what the secret's about. This is a much more casual game. This is a Splendor style game.
Okay.
This is a great like time filler or great casual, good for families. You are making some strategical decisions, but nothing overwhelming. You're going to be competing over honeycomb. So you're trying to make honeycomb. Those are worth points.
So there's definitely no Wicker Man.
No.
No mask in which the bees eat you.
No.
No dogs that bark bees.
No,
Okay.
this is not going to fuel your nightmares.
Okay.
This is a very calm, you're collecting honey and visiting flowers for pollen.
Okay.
So you're competing over honeycomb, much like in Splendor, you're going to have a number of those out that have specific requirements in pollen. On your turn, you draw 2 pollen cards. You're going to choose which one to take, and that card is going to give you specific pollen, like 2 green and a purple pollen.
What happens to the one that you don't take?
The one you don't take gets discarded.
Okay.
But the cool thing that reminds me about lanterns in this game is that the pollen, the card you take, will also give something to everybody else.
Okay.
So if I get 2 greens, everyone else will get 1 green.
Okay.
If I get a purple and a blue, everyone will get a blue. And so you're kind of balancing what you get versus what you're giving other people, because on your turn you can either gather pollen or you can claim a honeycomb. So if everyone gives someone what they need to claim, that person doesn't have to waste a turn. Sure. They can just claim something straight off. So it's a very good balance.
Do you build an engine like you do in Splendor? Or
No,
is it just a card based?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's just card based. You don't have any way to like build or anything. It's just draw 2 cards. If you're collecting pollen, choose which ones you get, give everyone else something. That's it. Or instead of doing that, you can choose to claim one of the honeycombs.
Sounds very simple and straightforward.
It is. It's very straightforward. It's great for families, great for casual games, good for a filler or something light in between heavy things. Okay. It also has alternate point game changers, which it's called like an advanced mode, but most gamers would just add this in generally because it's a very straightforward game to begin with. And those are going to be things like if you get like all of this kind of pollen, you get something special or things like that. They're just going to be added victory point options.
Okay. So fans of bees.
Yes.
People who want a simpler entry level game, kind of like Splendor.
Yes. Lanterns. And one of the things I like Lanterns is one of those games, and this is one of those games where you get something every turn. You're consistently engaged. You're not waiting for people to make their decisions and walking away because you're like, well, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? And you might change your decision 3 or 4 times between your turn and your next turn of what am I going to do next time? Because now I have enough to claim something, or now I'm only 1 away from claiming something really good, so I should push and try and get something else.
So it doesn't seem like this is a high spite game because you might snipe someone's choice.
Yes.
But chances are they're also going to have enough to buy something else or to be replaced.
This is very friendly. This is good for those groups where there's some contention problems. This is a good game that you don't have to worry about that.
Great.
Yeah.
And you have an affinity for bees?
I do. Well, not like actual bees, like just like pictures of bees, emblems of bees. I run terrified from bees. Facsimiles of bees. I really like. I just grew up all around them. Yeah, like I have necklaces with bees on them, earrings with bees on them. Although I do not like bees themselves in person. In general, they're great.
So you're just happy to co-opt their culture.
Yes.
But not them.
Yeah, I don't want them anywhere near me. Wow. I know. Oh yeah. Now that's on camera too.
So it seems like Queenz is our next choice.
Oh, the other bee one.
Where's this? Wow.
It's that green one right there.
Oh, it's the one I'm touching.
Yeah.
Great.
So Queenz is another one where you are producing honey. So in this case, you're not the bees. You are actually the farmer.
What is the tagline here?
The tagline, to be or not to be. It's great.
Yep.
It's not cheesy at all.
Nope.
So you are collecting flowers in this one, and then you will be placing your flowers in a garden that you are making to let your bees collect pollen, surprise, and make honey. And you're going to get points in this one based on the variety of flowers you're able to put in your garden and maybe certain sets of flowers and things like that. This one, yeah, if you look at the back, this is not an Uwe Rosenberg, but let me just say, looking at the back of this, that's the first thing that a lot of us at Mox went to was, wait, who designed this?
Yeah, my immediate thoughts were like Patchwork, King Domino, stuff
Yes, like that. Yes. So mechanically, this reminds me the most of Cottage Garden. So if anyone's played Cottage Garden before, you're adding these Tetris-like pieces into your garden, and then you're moving a gardener around on deciding who gets pieces. In this case, you're moving a gardener around, and that's going to determine what row or column you're allowed to choose the flowers from. And then you're going to collect your flowers, and then you can, instead of doing that, take a Tetris-like piece add it to your garden, and then you get to fill that with the flowers you previously collected.
Okay. And this is a Bruno Cathala game, so it's certainly not like a new designer, even if it's not Uwe Rosenberg.
Yes. It definitely has like a standing. This is also one where you're like balancing getting all the different flower types. So if someone gets all the different flower types, that's going to kind of trigger near the end of the game.
Okay.
This is another one where you're not going to have turns that are useless.
Okay.
One of the great things about this is even if you ended up on a column, your opponent's got you on a column to choose from where you don't like any of the flowers available. What you choose affects where the gardener goes for the next person. So you can be spiteful and choose something and be like, well, I know you don't want any blue, and this row has a lot of blue in it and not much else, so I'm going to take this so the gardener ends up there for you.
So it does sound like there's a little bit more player interaction than a lot of the normal kind of like tiling tableau building would be.
Yeah. This is very symmetrical interaction to Cottage Garden, where you are doing that. Although this, like I said, you do have more control over where the gardener goes for the next player, so you can make spite decisions, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a full strategic decision to do nothing but spite decisions in this game.
Great.
Yeah.
So Cottage Garden, you said, was very similar to Patchwork. Seems like it's a
Definitely,
little bit similar to.
yeah.
Any other ones that would leap out at you?
I mean, well, bees.
Other than bees?
So, I mean, it's a nice casual set collector, heavier than bees. But I would say even if you like Catan, like this is kind of that level of friendly interaction. House of Wait.
It's closer than you would think.
Really? Okay. Yeah, actually, it is pretty. It's a little heavier.
That would be a slam dunk.
Yeah. And that one also, you're trying to be the first one to complete all those colors, different flower types, so that you can get more points for that. So, lots of things. Do we have another pick from the stream, or am I picking this one?
So, which one would you like to do next?
Let's do Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising. So, yes, please take that off, because what's cool about the cover here is that it is multiple things. So this is like the faces in the vase kind of thing. This is the Sorting Hat, and then Voldemort and Harry Potter's face, and then you've got all the people like spelling and shooting their spells into the sky.
Is that what that's called? Spelling?
Spelling, yes.
Well,
Casting
they
spells,
have
spelling.
Yeah,
can I get a wand up here and we'll do Yes, more bees.
Yep.
So if you've played Thanos Rising, this game, that explain why it looks so familiar. So this is very similar to Thanos Rising, and I mean very similar.
And I had a weekend where I demoed that so much.
That it'll take it out of your system when you demo it enough. So I really enjoyed Thanos Rising, and in fact I'm kind of sad because I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and now I have Thanos Rising, and now I want to jump ship for this one, but they are very similar.
Hey,
you don't need both.
Tis the season.
Tis
you buy
the
one
season.
for yourself, and you're like, hey, friends, look, I got you this entirely brand new Thanos Rising.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In no way used at all by me a bunch until now.
I had a friend who saw it the other day and was interested in it, and I just was thinking, maybe I could offload that and get this one.
That's what white elephant parties are for.
Yes. Oh, that's true. I do have one of those coming up. So with Death Eaters Rising, you are doing the same kind of thing. You're rolling dice, so it's a cooperative game with kind of a Yahtzee-style dice mechanic where you are rolling dice that represent, with the spells you're casting, you get to apply those to different cards. You're trying to attract more heroes to your team, so in this case, wizards to your team, and you're trying to defeat the Death Eaters in the process, and you're balancing that because attracting more people to your team means you have more dice. You're increasing your resource pool and your abilities to heal yourself or to help your friends. But if you don't deal with the Death Eaters as well, their powers are going to ramp up, and eventually Voldemort will come out.
Does somebody get to betray everybody to the bad side?
No. It's very sad, but it's...
I feel like, I mean, come on. I mean, for Thanos comic book movies, that's not a thing, but Harry Potter, come on.
Betrayal is a big, part of it. Yeah, the biggest difference between this and Thanos Rising mechanically is the win condition.
Okay.
And that is with Thanos Rising, you're trying to defeat a certain number of number of villains before a certain number of heroes die, because they just accept that they're going to die. In Death Eaters Rising, you have to defeat Voldemort. And in order to defeat Voldemort, you have to first defeat a certain number of Death Eaters. Okay. And Voldemort's also going to be midway through the deck. So it's a lot of balancing between improving your pool, building up your resources versus dealing with whatever problems are out there.
Okay. And it should also be noted that Thanos Rising was a pretty accessible game.
Yes.
Like it did not take a super long time to explain.
Yes.
But I would also not say that it was a very easy game. It was not like a pushover by any means.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is at least as difficult.
It is. This is going to be, it's very similar in that. And the game is, like, difficulty-wise, like for winning, is going to depend a little bit on the card randomness.
And the dice.
And the dice, although you can mitigate dice with the choices you make. There's ways to affect your dice pool and your dice facing.
It was definitely a very random game. But then demoing it with a lot of kids, because we were like a comic book show, and a lot of kids were coming by, and they were immediately kind of pulled in and got into it. And it worked out really, really well for a lot of them. Yeah. So I would imagine that if you're a Harry Potter fan,
this is, it's great. If you like Harry Potter, this is a wonderful game. If you liked Thanos Rising, but you prefer Harry Potter more, this is the perfect game. And it's definitely fairly accessible. It's something you can play with a family, although this is not something that you're going to pick up and just start playing in 2 minutes. It will require a few minutes going through the rules and stuff like that.
Are there any other games that the Thanos Rising and Harry Potter or Death Eaters Rising are similar to? Like, I mean, they're generally like co-op games. Have some similarities, but are there any other games that you can think of that if somebody hasn't played either of those to figure out whether they might be into the gameplay for this?
Yeah, so another one would be another Harry Potter one, actually, is Fantastic Beasts. So the Fantastic Beasts co-op dice game, which is another Yahtzee style game. That one's more Yahtzee than this one. This one you just have to use one dice and you get to keep rolling and one roll kind of thing. But it's got a similar feel to it. So if they already liked that one, which if they're into the Harry Potter franchise, then they may have already played that one. It is different enough. You could own both, the Fantastic Beast and the Death Eaters Rising.
Okay. And because it's a co-op game, there's not really any spite.
No, you're completely working together. If you had some people that were particularly contentious, you could have a couple disagreements, but it's pretty friendly.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that an element of the game so much.
Yeah, it's not.
It's choosing your friends wisely.
Yeah, who are you playing with? It's possible, but yes, it's co-op. It's fully cooperative. You're all working together to defeat this, and it's all about the decisions you make as a group, and you can make decisions that help each other too, which is nice.
Awesome. Yep. I believe our next game is Nanty Narking.
Yes, Nanty Narking. So this is actually a kind of reskin of an older game called Discworld.
Okay.
Yes. So are you familiar with Discworld?
Vaguely.
So it
at
came.
At least the property, if not the game itself.
Yeah. So the game Discworld came out in 2011, and the license has expired, and so they have remade this as Nanty Narking. It is a very interesting game, actually. It is mechanically pretty simple, but has some strategic depth, which I think is what a lot of people are looking for in a game, because you don't have to spend forever figuring out how to play it, but you can really get into the game, into the gameplay. In this one, you are in Victorian London, and you are trying to send your agents out to control the board. It's area control. You're a wealthy person trying to exert your control over the area. And
sounds very Victorian.
It is very Victorian. You send all your agents out.
This is a truly Victorian game of wit and pod snappery?
Yes. I don't know what pod snappery is, to be honest with you.
I assume it means to start a podcast and complain on it.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what they did in Old England.
Yep.
I'm sure that's exactly what they had in mind. So what's cool about this one is it does have the nice miniatures. Each player has their own set of agents and buildings. While
they're all unique, or are they the same for
They're unique,
okay.
Which is really cool. So everyone has different unique ones, and in fact, you might have within your own buildings, you have different types of buildings, and so you have all these unique miniatures that represent your thing, although mechanically they do represent just buildings or agents. They don't have specific.
The different factions different players don't have like automatically different powers or anything.
No,
okay.
So the players have the same powers. So this is an area control style game, and what's really cool about it is at the beginning of it, you actually are going to shuffle up a bunch of secret objectives, and that's your win condition. So everyone has different win conditions in some cases.
I like that.
3 of the win conditions are the same, and they're just straight area control. Control a certain amount of territory depending on the number of players, and it's going to be not an easy amount. Like it's more than your share if you were playing with however many players. Other ones are going to include things like have a certain number of buildings. If you place buildings in places, they will give you like special bonuses or one-time effects or continual effects that help you like raise money. Or another effect may be to just have a certain amount of money. You just want to get rich. Who cares about the control?
Now, when you say win conditions,
yes.
Is it like Lords of Waterdeep, where the win conditions are just bonus points you'll get at the end?
No, this is straight. The first person to meet the objectives on their cards wins the game. They reveal their card. They have won. They do, in most cases, have to have it at the beginning of their turn, though. So similar to Villainous, you have to meet your condition in many cases, and it has to come back. Yeah, it has to survive the round. So if you know most of the objectives are to control 7 territories, and you see that someone has 7 territories, it may be a good time to try and kick them out. Now, mechanically, this game is much less simple than you might expect by looking at it and having a miniatures game. Mechanically, I would compare it to Dungeon Mayhem.
Okay.
So it's Dungeon Mayhem with a board. Heavier, for sure. Like, you definitely have a lot more going on. But what's going to happen is you're going to be playing cards from your hand, and they're going to have certain symbols on them. There's some really easy to learn iconography here. They're going to have symbols on them to allow you to place agents on the board, build buildings, remove people from the board, and so on.
Well, I heard a lot of good stuff about the old Discworld game.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to play Dungeon Mayhem yet, but I also hear very good stuff about that.
Yes, it's amazing.
Great. Marcus has determined what Podsnappery is.
Yes.
It is an attitude towards life marked by complacency and a refusal to recognize unpleasant facts.
Oh, that sounds, that sounds right, yeah. So here are these people just trying to control the city and ignore all the problems.
Perhaps a little too timely, I think is what we would say.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
This is not a spelling bee, Dominic. I do not need to use it in a sentence.
But yeah, so I was very intrigued by this game. It's really, I like that everyone has separate goals. I don't know that it really fits what you would normally think of as asymmetrical, because you are all behaving in the same way mechanically, but having secret objectives. More hidden objectives. And it's nice that everyone, like, you know what most of them are, but you can try and mislead people. Like, maybe I am doing area control, but I'm just going to place a lot of buildings. I get bonuses for that, so it's not necessarily harmful, and it might cause people to worry less about other things that I'm doing. So you can try and mislead people with things like that.
Great. And I imagine that the spite level is reasonably high.
I would say really high.
It doesn't sound like it's a take that game, but it does sound like it's a game where you really need to prune your neighbors, as it were.
Yes, you definitely are trying to manage other people's success in this game. And there are plenty of ways to remove other people's agents. And you actually do control, like, you will check at certain times, you may check an area, and whoever has the most people there is considered to control it. And so you're going to be trying to remove people off territory that you're trying to control, because you can't have them have more power than you there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What would you like to cover next?
How about Pathogenesis? So Pathogenesis, this is actually a reprint of a more recent edition. So this originally came out in 2017, and obviously it's been pretty successful if they're doing a reprint so quickly. This is very notable because this game is all about the genetics of, like, viruses and different pathogens, and it is made to be biologically accurate.
Okay.
It's going to have a lot of cards with names that I can't pronounce because they're all these scientific names.
This game contends that nature spends a deck building game to determine how viruses evolve?
Nature works just like a deck building game.
Bold new theory.
Proof that your virus, that flu you caught last week, is the result of, someone succeeding in their deck building.
Or failing.
Well, you are trying to kill someone here.
Sure.
Wow. Well, you're trying to make them really sick. Okay, maybe too harsh there. So in this game, you are deck building, trying to add different pathogens to your pool, and also upgrades for those pathogens. So you can add upgrades that might make them more powerful, or maybe even add certain conditions, like if someone had an open wound, that would make your pathogen more likely to be successful in infecting them.
This is definitely one of those games that's like, that's neat, but anybody that I meet who is like, this is an amazing game, it is my favorite, like, feels like that might be a little telling about their personality.
You know, I get that. And I honestly was not sold on this game at first, but the more I watched gameplay of it, I was really impressed with it. So it has a cooperative mode, a competitive mode, team modes, and solo mode. Like, this game has everything. It has ways to adjust the complexity, the length of the game.
It lists a classroom mode, so it looks like you can play it in an extremely educational way.
Yes, and it is.
Extreme education.
It's very educational. And the way it works is you're building your deck. You are trying to get those pathogens out, and there's an immune system deck, which will attack different ones. It's going to randomly deal one immune system event to each of your pathogens. You reveal those, they'll fight, and if your pathogen survives, it then gets a chance to attack the body that you're attacking. And each one will attack different areas. There's 3 different areas, one of which would be like the respiratory system. And so you're attacking those areas, trying to get a certain amount of damage and get victory points through the end of the game.
So how does this compare to other deck builders? Because they're like, you know, there's kind of the Ascension model,
yes,
and there's the Dominion model. Where does this lay?
This compares to DC, the DC deck building game, or Legendary style game. This is going to have, it has a number of, like, a pretty high number of set market items, with like 6. And then it will have a more general market that
could just include Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah, he'll just randomly pop in there. Like, he goes really well with the common cold.
I mean, the number of times that the superheroes get shrunk down and like
I'm sure there's an well, if there's not, someone should make an Ant-Man card and just like put it in there.
Extremely educational.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's really cool, and you're just trying to build up your different pathogen options.
And then you have like the stream that will just people buy from it.
Yeah, so so you've got like that more standard market style that you see in Ascension, as well as that. I mean, most even games with that standard market have some basic ones that are always available, and this is kind of like that, but it has a larger number of always available ones.
Okay, and I assume there's some sort of balance between getting cards that help you get more cards versus getting cards that attack the body better, things like that?
Yes, and it's that same thing you're going to see in every deck building game, because you want to be able to have enough, you know, in this genetic points in order to essentially evolve your pathogens. But if you don't get the pathogens and all you have is genetic points, they're not going to do you much good, because you're not going to be doing enough attacking. Okay. So it's very cool, definitely a great way to like learn about all these pathogens and the way they work. And the cards will, like, certain cards only go with other cards. You have kind of these different factions depending on the type of
now I want to imagine like bacterial political warfare.
Yes, exactly. So I will say, at first, I wasn't sold on this game, but I really love the versatility of this game. It's really nice, like that solo, competitive, teams, it's co-op, it's great.
Yeah, so lots of modes.
Yes.
People who love deck builders.
Yep.
And people who are interested in games that have like an explicit educational agenda.
Yes, yes, for sure. And the artwork on this is like actual artwork by like a science artist. So it's really good. It's definitely something I actually really recommend, and I probably will pick up, because you can't beat having all those modes.
For the teacher in your life.
Yes, exactly. Oh, the teacher would love this.
So it seems like Escape from Hidden Castle.
Yes. Okay, I'm really excited about this one. This is definitely on the lighter, more casual side of games.
Okay.
But Escape from Hidden Castle is actually a reprint of a game that hasn't had a printing since 1992.
Okay.
And it was originally like 1989, I believe, somewhere in there. So it's been a while
ties in with our theme, I think, of the day we were talking about older games coming back.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's been more than 25 years since this game was last printed. And it is just a really cool party game. The theme of it is you are all, and I should say it was previously called Midnight Party. So if anyone played Midnight Party, it's had both names over the years. Now, what's happening is a bunch of these people have come together for this party or to go into the hidden castle, and you're going to have multiple figures that represent you. So in this case, you have a number of standees that you're controlling, and you're trying to keep your people safe from the phantom that has come out.
So you're playing a party of people?
You're playing a party of people, and everyone has their own party of people that they're trying to keep safe. And it actually plays similar to Sorry or Parcheesi.
Okay.
Mechanically, what's going to happen is there's a circular board, and you're going to roll the die on your turn, and you're going to choose one of your people to move forward. And they're going to kind of go ahead, move forward in the lineup of all these people. They might even be able to sneak into a room if they have the right like exact roll for certain things. Now, if on your turn you instead roll, some of the sides have a picture of the Phantom. The Phantom will move forward a predetermined number of spaces based on how far into the game you are. So he'll move more the farther you are into the game, and he will capture anyone that he lands on or passes. And all those people will get knocked into like the basement stairs. They're safe in the basement stairs, but by getting knocked there, they're going to gain points, which is bad. You don't want points, and those are going to be fear points. At the end of the game, you generally play a certain number of predetermined rounds, and whoever has the most points loses, least points wins.
Okay.
So
the hard question for you. Sorry, a classic family game.
Yes.
Does not have the best reputation among like hobby gamers.
Yes.
But you're very excited about this.
Yes.
I'm very curious. What is it about this that separates it from, say, Sorry, that makes you so excited?
So I really like that you have more strategic decisions being made here. So I'm not going to say, this is not something I'm going to say like every hobby gamer should have.
Sure.
This is really good casual game. It's a good game if you have like friends that just play casually or that have larger parties.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, would this be it sounds like this is a good game to bring home.
Yeah.
Like if you're going home on Christmas and you want to bring a game that you could play with your family.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah, this is something that you could have anyone play. It's rated ages 7 and up, but I would say you could even probably go a little younger than that. And it's really just something that you can pull out on the table, you can explain how to play in 30 seconds, and you can just start playing.
So you've basically gone through most of the rules already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other than Sorry, are there any other games that you think this would be a lot like?
Musical chairs.
Okay.
It's really going to be like that Sorry Parcheesi style. Anything else I compare it to is going to be that same. It's a roll and move, but it's a little more in depth than most roll and moves. Not that it's in depth, but more than Sorry in that you're controlling so many things, and you can also hide in rooms. You can kick people out of rooms. There can never be more than one person in a room at a time. So if one person enters, someone else can get kicked out and be put in a bad position where the Phantom is.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. Is Sorry would definitely be high on the spite scale.
Yes. This is
kind of inherent in its nature.
Yeah.
But this didn't, from your description originally, this didn't sound as spiteful as Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that incorrect?
I don't think it necessarily is, because you are. There's a little bit you can
Sorry,
do.
You're
not
landing on other people's spaces.
Yeah, you're not going to land on anyone.
It seems like it's removed a little bit, and it's the Phantom who's doing it.
Yes.
So you may have pushed someone out of the broom closet, and they get captured.
Yeah.
But it's not your fault.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It does have a little less spite than Sorry.
Okay.
You can push people out of the room. You can like pass people up and make sure they're left in the dust, but.
So you can break their kneecaps.
Yeah,
and
just trip them as you go by.
You don't need to run faster than the Phantom. You just need to run faster than the other players.
Well, the Phantom's going to move however far he moves, no matter who's in front of him. So everyone is going to be, out of luck if he passes them. And so you do have to run faster than him. But yeah, I think the spite level is a little bit less than Sorry because you're not actually landing directly on people.
Great.
Yep.
And this is also looks like it's $20, so it's a pretty cheap, accessible.
It's really affordable for just like a casual game to play with the family.
Great.
Yeah.
And I believe this only leaves us with Rurik.
Rurik, Dawn of Kiev. So this one I was really excited about when I first saw it, because I really like Kiev. I lived there for a while.
Oh, you did?
I did. I taught English there.
Wow, how was that?
It was really fun. It was awesome. They drink a lot of cognac there.
So does that mean that you're part of the large conspiracy to control everything and ruin everything in the world?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, let's just clear that up right now. Yeah, that's
awesome.
No question there.
Great.
Yeah. So this game is made out of Russia and designed by an artist from Ukraine, and this is based on like their deep background, the history of the city that was founded by this one man. And in the game, the man has passed away, and his children are now fighting over control of the city.
Okay.
They are.
Is Rurik the man who passed away?
Rurik, I don't remember the name of the man that passed away. I was like, I should look that up before, and I forgot it.
Chances are it's Rurik or Kiev, one of those two.
It's not Kiev.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe. But basically, you are all now his children, and you're all fighting over control of the city. This is an area control, but you're trying to win the hearts of the people. So you're not just trying to like beat each other up. You're also trying to upgrade the cities or do all those kinds of things. You're trying to increase the love of the populace for you as well.
Okay. So how does it play? We have some miniatures, lots of counters.
Yes.
A couple buildings.
Yes. So you are pushing your control through the different areas. What's really cool about this one that I really love is the mechanic of action bidding, which I haven't seen on a lot of games. Maybe I don't play as many heavier games. This is definitely a heavier style game.
Sure.
But it's a mechanic that I find really intriguing.
How does it work?
Yeah, so everyone gets a certain number of agents, numbered 1 through 5.
Yeah, I was noticing they all have 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Oh,
no
yeah.
3s.
Yeah, 1, 2, 4, and 5. So you're going to have those 4 agents.
Okay.
And you are going to, there's a track with the different actions that are available, like fighting, moving, building up wealth. There are all these different things. So you're trying to choosing your action. On your turn, you're going to place one of your agents on one of those tracks. And everyone's going to go around and do that. Once all of them are on there, you're going to arrange your agents for each track based on the power level.
So do you put them like face down?
No, they're going to be face up, and it's all open information where people are at, and you can arrange it as you go, and that's what's recommended. But so you're going to arrange those, and the lower numbered agents will get to go first. However, they're going to get lower abilities.
Okay.
So if multiple people chose the movement track, then whoever had a 1 on that track will get the lowest action, like they would get to move something 1 space. But whoever had the 5 action on that track they'll get to move something like 3 spaces.
Does the benefit you get, is it based on how many people bid or
Yes.
place for that action, or the number you put on that action?
The number of people that bid for it. So if I do a 1 and I'm the only person that chooses that action, I automatically get the best action available.
Got it.
So you also are kind of watching what other people are doing. You don't want to give them something really good for free.
Sure. What I was curious about is like if you play a 1
Yes.
and I play a 5,
Yes.
do I get the best result, which is what it sounds like?
Yes,
I wasn't
you'll
sure if
get
it was just okay.
Yeah, you'll get the best result
Okay.
if you have. So whoever has the highest will get the best result. Whoever has the lowest will get they just get pushed down the track further and further.
So they get the worst result, but they go first.
Yes, and they also go first. Yeah. So what's going to happen is then once everyone's placed their workers, each person takes 1 action at a time, and they go to their lowest worker, and they're going to perform that action. So everyone will do their 1s, and then their 2s, and then their 4s, and then their 5s. And this also means, though, that like if there's a bunch of people on the movement phase, that by taking the not as good action, I also get to go before a lot of other people. So you're kind of balancing, is it more important for me to attack someone before they attack me, or do I want to be able to just have a stronger, better attack in general?
That does sound really intriguing.
Yeah, so it's got this really nice mechanic depth. I would compare it to Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Okay.
It's a little bit less complicated than that, a little less setup, easier to get going on, and so in a lot of ways I feel like it has kind of best of both worlds. It's 30 minutes per player, so it's an hour to 2 hours depending on the players that you have. Maybe a little bit more their first time, of course. But
it looks like each faction has some miniatures for their general troops.
Yes.
But there's also like a hero miniature or something?
Yeah, so each player has their own hero. You have general troop miniatures as well, and then you have a player board which has like your resources. You can only store a certain number of resources. You're going to use those for various projects that you're going to work on.
Okay. So similar to Land, Air, and Sea.
Yes.
Any other games that you can think that this would be similar to?
It's really a good area control, but I wouldn't compare it necessarily to any specific area control that I'm familiar with. Land, Air, and Sea is the closest, but it's definitely a little bit lighter than that.
Okay. And this is not a fantasy game, despite the cover. Like this is based on.
It is historically based. Yeah. Now this is not Pathogenesis where it's like the whole gameplay is that, but the concept of the game is actually based on the classical stories of the founding of Kiev, and now you are working to improve it and to control the area.
So people who liked Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Yes.
People who really like kind of a different take on area control
Yes.
with the action bidding.
Yes.
People who are interested in Ukrainian history.
Yes.
Anybody else that you would really recommend this game to?
I mean, really, anyone who's really enjoyed action selection stuff, maybe like Scythe or something like. I guess that's another area control I might compare this to, where you have all these different. It's not just the area control. That's definitely a big part of it, but there are other things you can do to try and gain favor with the people.
Sure. And there's a lot of player interaction because you're
Yes.
obviously fighting on the same territory.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like it's particularly deceptive or spiteful.
No, I
all
wouldn't.
That information's out
Yeah, all the information is open information. There's no hidden information. There's no cards that you're playing. It's all very clear. It's mostly going to be strategic decisions about that action selection track is going to basically determine how people do in this game.
Great. And I think, is that it?
I think that is it.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming out and sharing all these games with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks to Mox Boarding House for sending you out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to say about Mox or yourself or anything like that?
Well, I would love to really plug in January. We are having a Lords of Waterdeep board game tournament,
good.
so everyone should check that out. That's going to be the third Saturday in January.
I really love that game.
Yeah.
Have you played, speaking of deck builders, have you played Tyrants of the Underdark?
I have.
I really like that one too. That's
That one is really good. Yeah, that one's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you to everybody for joining us. Keep in mind that we will not have a new release rundown on next Friday because we will be off for holiday break. But thanks again to Mox and Elle for coming out and sharing a bunch of games with us. Thanks for sticking around after Table Takes. Remember that normally we have Brothers Mirth every Monday night, and then on Wednesdays we normally have Fireside with Peter Atkinson. That's starting at noon Pacific, and then on Fridays starting at 11 a.m. we have Table Takes, and then followed by New Release Rundown. So we will hopefully see many of you again in January. Thank you very much.